it's their intrinsic
nature. This food basically
sound feasible, sound like
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Now, I recently received a lot of questions about the topic of leaving the black community or basically saving the black community. Like, which one would be best for African Americans? Should we, stay and try to improve the black community, or should we just, get our shit together and just roll out? And, this is a tough topic. Now, it's really an easy topic, but it's tough because it's a lot of people who won't be able to comprehend exactly what the black community is. And, we haven't had, real black communities in a long time. I mean, probably since the 60s. Black Wall Street had real, black communities. A community, is a place where people come together and basically, decide to live together because they have mutual, interests. They care about the same things and they want to make sure that the things that is in that community is going to benefit the community. It's going to be in the best interest for everybody in the community. Black Wall Street had that. They had a lot of communities where, the resources and the money that the community generated went back to the community and benefited the community. And, this is what we're lacking in the, so-called black community, today. So, when you go ahead and you look at, PTA meetings and town hall meetings and, neighborhood watch and stuff like this, these things are put into communities to benefit the community. And, when you have a community that doesn't have these things or is filled with people who really don't care what goes on in the community, then, you really can't call it a community because you have not a bunch of people in a group who is committed to a better life for them and for everybody in the community, but people who are basically committed to themselves and they really don't care what happens to everybody else in the community. They just, trying to, get where they're trying to get and, at the cost of, whoever. Now, when you look at the so-called, black community or the African American community, we don't really have a lot of these things that you can consider, qualifying us for being in a community. We have basically hoods. We have, the ghetto. We have a place where people live in poverty. It's crime everywhere. It's not safe. And, almost 100% of the profits that come into the black community basically goes to benefit people outside the black community and not the community itself. We have people who really don't care about the streets that they live in, that they grew up on. They don't really care about the people in their neighborhood or on their block for that matter in a lot of cases. So, you can't really qualify what we grew up in or what we call the black community as being an actual community. It's a place that's more like, a project as they call it, or, the ghetto, as I said. It's just something that is totally not in the same category of what a true community is supposed to be. So now I'm not saying that there are not no black communities. There are. It's a lot of black communities all around here in California and all across America. They just don't get the kind of recognition that they should. Because, the whole view of black people being successful and having a successful black community is obviously not something that America really wants black people to see, that we can actually come together in success and have our own community that benefits us. This is not a picture that, it's really painted widely, here in America, but it does exist nonetheless. And believe it or not, it exists here in California in many places. I've drove by and seen black communities, where it's nice, really nice homes. And, the whole thing with that is, of course, you have to be successful. You have to have the money to do this. And obviously these people, I don't know where they grew up at, but most of them probably came from, the ghetto or the so-called black community and have now become successful and moved out. And, you have to look at everything that's in the black community and ask yourself, is this something that can possibly be saved? Is this something that you want to save? What exactly is, the black community? Now, to me, the major problem with the black community, as I always talk about in previous videos, is that it is basically, controlled by this hip hop culture. And I think that is the reason for the decline that we have seen, since the 80s in the African American community, because people don't realize how serious this whole culture is, that the whole hip hop culture is a mindset. It's a mindset. It is basically controlling the behavior of people and causing them to, act out and have thoughts that is basically based off of this culture. And that's, what's going on. What we see is behavior problems. And it's weird to say that. A community that's based off a culture that says, selling drugs is cool. Selling drugs is gangster. Disrespecting women and women disrespecting themselves is cool. It's gangster, hence cool. And this whole culture that people don't want to realize is not good for us is running the whole community. It's running everything. And, there's so many people who are in denial of the real problem in the black community, which is why nothing is really done, because you have basically people, it's basically like an addiction. You have people who love the culture so much, who want to thrive in the culture and be in the culture and be surrounded by it, that they are not willing to admit that the culture is destroying the community. And this is the problem. It's a guilty pleasure, if you want to call it that. People know cigarettes is bad for them. They still smoke. You can call that an addiction. People know drinking is harming them, but they still drink. You can call that an addiction. People know that the music and hip hop is not good for us. The culture is not good for us. The way these women are portrayed and portray themselves is not good for the image of African American women. And, it's not good for the image of black people, but, we still do it. So you can call it an addiction, but it's something that people can't look at as being an addiction because to them it's just music. It's just hip hop. It's not, it's not nothing wrong with it, because people don't want to admit what's causing the problem. We looked at everything else. You can look at it and say it's poverty. You can look at it and say, well, I grew up this way and I grew up that way, and, you don't know my life. And this is the reason why the community is this way. But that's not the case for every person in the black community. Everybody has different cases and they grow up different ways. But yet the community stays the same. It's because of the culture. So when you live in a community where people who don't care about the community, don't really care about the people in the community, you got people walking around with the mindset of, fuck him, fuck his family, fuck me, fuck my family. I'm pulling the trigger. Hopefully I get away with it. It's people walking around with that kind of thinking, with the, I don't give a fuck it. If I do 10 years, I might do 20 years. I don't care. I'm gangster. I'm about that life and do what have you. And you got people walking around who really feel this way and act out these things. We see it all the time on the news, and yet we still don't want to see what the real issue is. That it's people who are, for whatever reason, for many reasons, I should say, giving into this whole culture. So it's just, we've been set up to fail from day one. And when you in a community or when you in a place where people who have a mindset that they don't give a shit about the community, they don't care about you for real. They will blow your brains out if you step on their sneakers or look at them wrong. They will disrespect their girl, your mom, they mom, your sister, they sister. They don't care. What about that community would you want to save? How would you save it? Let's really go through this whole thing. Just what would you have to do to save that community? A community that's in that kind of, disarray, who needs that much work. What would you say? You can't really go to a group of drug dealers on the corner and say, hey, I need y'all to chill out, stop selling drugs, and this and that. You probably get beat down, or you'll get the same story. Well, my mom, she poor, she need help, so I got to help her out. Or, you don't know my life. I grew up hard. You don't know what I go through. I'm doing what I got to do. What do you say to that? So, you can preach. We've been preaching for years till you blue in the face. oppression, white supremacy, Dr. King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, all the same stuff we've been preaching for years. And we have crowds of black people come out, standing ovations, and, people get together and they laugh, they cry, they have a good time, and they all agree that we need to change the black community. And then they go right back to the black community and keep doing the same ghetto shit. Nothing changes. It's like going to church. People go to church and preach and hear the sermon and listen to all that holy crap. And then as soon as they walk out the door, they sinning, going against the religion. So they got us by the balls, and religion was created to have us by the balls, and the black community was created for the same reason. So, when you hear so many people saying you need to get up out of the black community, I mean, the only reason why you stay is because you have no choice. I mean, let's keep it real. Anybody in the black community, if you hit lotto, hundreds of millions of dollars, where you going? You moving out. Why are you moving out? Because you don't feel safe. You don't feel safe there. And you understand what goes on there. And then the excuse that, we got to give these black people a pass. They don't know right from wrong because they poor. It's bullshit. And this is what it seems like everybody went, oh, you can't talk down up to black people in the black community. They don't know what they doing. They don't know what's going on. Or they poor. They just doing what they got to do. And we give people a pass because they poor, and we act like they don't know right from wrong. They don't know that they're destroying the black community. And this is the problem. Now, the internet is full of videos of what goes on in the black community. You see videos of, teens robbing old people. All the fights and brawls that happen in the black community. People getting shot, shootouts, murders, homicides. So much stuff caught on video and put out there for everybody to see. So we know what goes on. We know it's not good. And the whole thing is, we sit up here and a lot of people dwell on, black community. And it's just like, as I said, they're trying to keep you caught up in this whole color scheme. When, we have the so-called black community where white people live in the community. Hispanics live in the community. And the community's still messed up in a lot of cases. So it's not just a black community, it's just a majority black community in a lot of cases. Then the whole thing is people don't look at that the black community is synonymous with poverty, with unsuccessful people. As soon as you say the black community, people just think about violence and negativity. It goes hand in hand. You think about the white community, you think about the suburbs. What is that? And it's just, how do you save something like that? Something that was created to be what it is. They could have done it years ago. They could have eradicated all the problems, but they clearly created the problem. And this is where, what I'm saying about how the mindset of people is affected by this whole thing. Just by TV, in particular, just by the news media. People actually believe what the news media tells them. They believe what this stuff is saying. People believe everything on the internet. And it's just people don't look at their own reality and see, what things is, face value. It's just that simple. Some people just don't give a shit. And they delight in not giving a shit. They think it's cool to not give a shit. How do you save a person who believes that, I don't give a fuck, it's cool. Not giving a fuck, it's cool, it's gangster. How do you save that person? How do you save a person who actually believe, it is what it is? It's a legitimate excuse. It is what it is. I'm going to go out here and do what I got to do. What do you say to that? How do you save that person? The only thing you can do is give them money. Pay them off. Hey, stop selling drugs. Here go money. But we can't do that with everybody. And it's tough. So you got some people who've been in the community, their whole life. They grew up there. You might live on a block or in a neighborhood that got good people to come out, clean the streets. Y'all might have a little block parties and y'all got your little block captains and, you do little stuff in the community. And to you, your community may seem like a good place worth saving. But the majority of the black community black communities, it's not, as good. You might have some drama in your community sometimes. Sometimes it's, everything is fine. Somebody might get shot a few blocks away and you feel like the community is good. It's worth saving. But the whole thing is you have to look at the fact that you weren't supposed to be in that community in the first place. You're not supposed to be there. And you have been put on a path of failure, from the rip, put in schools that's not adequate enough to get you to the proper place as far as, being successful in life. This is by design. Getting put in a zip code that is not generating enough revenue to fund the schools in your neighborhood to give you and your children a proper education. This is by design. Getting placed in a community where the businesses, where the income for the community is not going to benefit that community. It's not going to benefit the people in the community. It's going to benefit everybody else who's outside of it and the people who's running these stores. This is by design. Black people, we have not decided to be put in these communities. We are a victim of circumstance, a victim of, a plan, an agenda, a project, if you will. And the whole thing is, I was just watching a video not too long ago and it was two people arguing. And a white guy and a black guy. And the white guy says, don't blame me because my parents were successful and smart. Hence giving him a good life over black people. And then, you have to think, he didn't have no comeback for it, but you have to think as a black person, you can't blame me, for being born to poor parents or drug addicted parents. You can't blame us for that, because a lot of us, me included, we grew up in the whole crack epidemic era. When crack was at its height, when crack was doing this thing, we grew up in that era. So if you didn't have a parent that was strung out on it like my mom was, then you probably, did okay. You just had to deal with regular poverty issues. But if you grew up with a drug addicted, family member, a mom or dad or both, or a mom and no dad, then you had issues. There were problems. And then now this next generation, our kids, has to deal with the result of this. So you have some people who's been able to bounce back and use it and be successful because of it. But the majority of us are either dead or in prison, or what have you. And I see a lot of people who I grew up with who has fell victim to these circumstances. So when you get down to it, when you look at the black community, it comes down to this. You have a situation where people are bullshitting, or people are so delusional that they believe that, they can't come out of the black community for whatever reason. So the whole thing is, we know what goes on in the black community. We know how bad it is. We know who the bad guys is and where, the bad shit happens. We allow it to happen for whatever reason. But we know what's going on there. And people want to walk around and pretend like they don't understand what's going on there, or, they don't know, or everything's just fine. Or, people have the mindset of, well, it's our community, leave us alone. We do what we want to do. But then they complain about the community. And it also seems like a lot of African Americans, we take pride in the neighborhoods that we come from, even though, a lot of these neighborhoods are, negative neighborhoods, full of crime, full of drug addiction and stuff like that. We brag about, I grew up in this project, I came from this neighborhood. And it's the sort of pride that we take in the negativity that happens in these neighborhoods. And it's not so much that, but it's also like, people want recognition for growing up in these terrible neighborhoods and surviving it, or, still living in these neighborhoods. And it's like, I guess they feel like if you live in these neighborhoods full of all this crime and everything like that, and you surviving, then that makes you gangster. Somehow you're supposed to get some kind of brownie points or cool points for growing up in such a horrible place instead of, trying to get out of there and take your kids out of such a place. So, we got to look at stuff like this, and people got to realize that the whole thing is designed for us to feel this way and to act this way. We don't understand that there's other black neighborhoods out there that are seriously successful, completely successful, full of people, African Americans who have, 401k jobs, making over $100K a year and stuff like that. we can't sit here and believe for 1 second that all the black people live in these horrible black neighborhoods because we don't do no research, or because the media doesn't tell us about the many rich, successful African American neighborhoods that's throughout America. Now, some of y'all probably seen the whole news report that was done on DeSoto, Texas, where you got about 51,000 people who live there, and the median household income is about 60,000, a year. But here you have a town, you have a place, a community full of rich, successful African Americans who basically came together in this area, and it has a black mayor. Everybody is successful in making good money. There's no crime. There's no problems there. So it was shocking to me that they actually did a report on this, and it got me to do a lot more research into looking around America at the other many successful African American communities. You have a lot of successful African Americans in Atlanta. There's a lot of communities that's like full of mansions, black people. I mean, you got to think about, all the successful basketball players, entertainers, and stuff like that. That's one. But then you got to remember how many African Americans have been graduating from college over the years and becoming successful and doing a lot of great things, and, becoming doctors and lawyers and stuff like that, and, making really good money. And of course, they moved out of the hood. They moved somewhere where it was other black people. Well, I can see if you have a case where it seems like all the black people who make money, it's just moving into, white neighborhoods, or moving into, other neighborhoods. But you have all over America successful African American neighborhoods. You have a Uniondale in New York that's successful. Whitmore, Maryland, got the median household income is about $100,000 a year. You have Ladera Heights in California. You got U Park, Windsor Hills in California. That's supposed to be like the most successful African American community in America. But you have a whole bunch of successful African American neighborhoods that is predominantly black. I mean, in DeSoto, Texas, you have 55% of the businesses there are owned by African Americans. So, I mean, stuff like this, when you find the numbers and you find out that these places exist, then it gets you to thinking, why aren't people being told about this? Why isn't this should be taught in African American schools? To me, that is so huge. It plays such a huge role in the thinkings of young African American men and women growing up, understanding and knowing that even though you see in the media, even though you see all across television the success of Europeans or white people or what have you, that there does exist that same kind of success, amongst African Americans, and it's spread throughout America. You just have to understand that it's not being talked about. So the backlash in African Americans moving out of the ghetto or the hood and going somewhere that's nice and better, better equipped to raise children is, they are coons. They sellouts. Oh, they ain't giving back to the black community where they came from or what have you. And the whole thing is, what that whole thing is about is those African Americans really understanding where they came from. Now, it's a difference between understanding where you came from and, where you grew up at. What was the community really about? Because you can be successful and come from a community that was bullshit. I left that community because I know it was full of drugs and crime and stuff like that. And, I just want to get far away from that kind of stuff. So how do I give back to that community? I mean, what can you do? When people say, you got to give back to the black community, it seems as if they want successful black people to come knock on all black people's door in the community and give them a check. I mean, so they can go act like they can blow the money on something stupid and act like they balling. I mean, what exactly do you want to happen? The things that black people want to happen in the African American community or want from these successful black people are things that you are supposed to get from, your community leaders, your elected officials. And because if a rich black person comes back to the black community, even if he does like give out toys and food and stuff like that, that's one thing. That's cool. That's going to help some people out. But how is it really going to fix the problem? And the problem is bigger than, cutting black people a check in the black community or coming back to the black community and, feeding people and giving them toys and stuff like that. It's bigger than that. It's an economic problem, an economic issue. Because now, if I come back to the black community and I'm rich and successful, and let's say, okay, I want to open up some businesses. You got black people again with the mindset is, I don't give a fuck. Fuck him. I'm trying to get money. I got to do what I got to do. So I'll open up this business and it get robbed, or I fear for the safety of my employees. Is the black neighborhood going to protect that black business? Are people going to come in and always want a discount? What's going to happen there? And it's the whole thing is when you try to bring in this level of sophistication and business to a community full of people with the mindset of this hip hop culture, it doesn't work. And it's almost too dangerous to try unless you just really got that kind of money. But no real successful black person is going to, invest that kind of money in such a place, because to them it's, it's hit or miss in certain cases. So you don't know. Now you have some people. Styles P opened up, I think it was like a juice joint in New York, somewhere in New York. That was cool. That was what's up. You have a lot of African Americans who open up, successful African Americans who open up businesses, and near the black neighborhood or even in the black neighborhood. Each case is unique. It's different. It's for whatever reason, but you don't see it in a predominantly, really, really bad black neighborhoods. In the black stores that I do see that's in a black neighborhood, I mean, you got niggas standing in the front of it. You got people who disrespect it. Or when you walk into the place, it's not, it don't seem as legit, so to speak, or, right, correct, as a business. And I'm not trying to, put my people down by saying that, but it's like, damn, if you're going to open a business, like make it look like a business, like you're doing something. It's a good thing you got a store, you got a business, and you're doing something in the community, but make it look professional, make it look correct, right, and so people can respect it. Because as soon as you have a store and you open it up and it look hood, people are gonna come in there and think that you don't give a fuck. They're not gonna really respect it, and this is the issue that you see in a lot of cases. But the problem, again, is bigger than, a rich black person coming to the black community and cutting a check. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than somebody coming back to the black community and open up businesses and stuff like that. It's bigger than that. It's education that must happen first. And it's the mindset of people must be changed. And the community must unite and come together for something like this to exist, to even happen. Because if the community is not united, if the community is not full of, stand up good people that's going to make this stuff work, then what is the point? And that's the hard part. That's the dangerous part right there, especially when, a lot of communities is split. You might have some people who are Muslim, some people who are Christian, some people who are atheists, or what have you. So those things come into play. What should we spend the money on? Oh, well, we should build this, or we should do that. Oh, well, you can't serve this kind of stuff. It's going to be problems, but we can't just look to, it's so many people who say that. It's whenever I hear people say, oh, well, he don't come back, he don't do nothing for black people. I mean, what can you really do for the black community? Now, I think by now, African Americans, if you didn't understand before, then you know now that the game is rigged. It's been rigged for, centuries. And we have to work extra hard to be successful, because of the color of our skin and the stereotypes that, we face. We have to be, extra careful in the decisions that we make in life and the careers that we choose, the people we hang around, things of that nature. We have to act accordingly. And I always say that because people act like they don't understand what's going on and they don't see the problem, and, everything is new to them. I mean, you see what's going on. You see the way things are and have been before you was even born. So you have to act like, accordingly, because one, we scream, it's a stereotype. We scream about, white privilege and everything like that. And people understand this. So the whole thing is, if you understand that there's a such thing as white privilege, then you have to act accordingly. You can't do the same thing and get the same results. You know that it's people out there who don't want to hire you, who don't want to give you a chance because of the color of your skin. So you can't sit back and cry about that. You can't sit back and scream that this is wrong, this is unfair, when it has always been this way. You have to act accordingly. Because these people want to act like this, okay, I got to go around all that. I got to do something different. I have to work harder to be, to beat them, to be more successful. And, it's not so much about it being like a competition. It is what it is. It's the way that it is. It's your reality. And in order to change that, everybody need to have that same mindset of being successful. Success beats everything. I mean, how do you get a person to listen to you? How can you give advice to a person if you yourself is not successful? And that's how people measure advice. When rich people talking, everybody want to listen. When a broke person talking, don't nobody give a damn what they saying. So everything is success. You want people to get off your back, stop talking shit about you. You kill them with success. It's just that simple. They still gonna talk shit. They still gonna hate. But at the end of the day, you're successful. So they just hating. What can they really say about you? So we understand this. We know this. So we have to act accordingly. And the problem is people are using the excuse route. Oh, the system is this. The system is racist. The system. We know all this shit already. You knew it already. If you didn't know, then you know now. So now, what are you going to do? You got to change your mindset. You got to get your head out of all that ghetto, nigga shit, and think success. Think outside the box. Be competitive in everything that you do that involves success. In each aspect of your life that's going to be successful, that's trying to be successful. If your goal is to have a 9 to 5, then that's what you're going to have. You're going to have a job, a job, paycheck to paycheck. You need a career. You need to do something that you love to do, and, that's going to give you the kind of lifestyle that you want. You don't have to settle. And this is the problem. Everybody looking at the situation as if it's too hard. And, the only way I'm going to get rich and famous and successful is if I shake my ass, if I rap. And we are not glorifying enough our successful African Americans who are doing good in business, who are scientists, lawyers, doctors, and stuff like that. And because of this, because we glorify the hip hop culture and everything like that, everybody's trying to go that route. And it seems like this is what people believe is the only way they can make it and get that kind of money that they see these celebrities have. And there's other ways, other things that you can do to be rich and to be successful. Now, as I said, if I can make it, anybody can make it. I grew up poor. I grew up in the worst kind of way. Not everybody's going to join the military like I did. I joined the military and, went to college and everything like that. But even still, when I got out of the military, I wasn't rich. I still had to work and grind hard. And, when I started, doing my own business, when I created my website and everything, trying to get people to, to get clients, a black man with a software company, turned down everywhere I went. Go overseas to Sweden and get a bunch of clients. People didn't care that I was black. They didn't care about the color of my skin. They just cared about the work that I put out, that I did for cheaper than, the other people. And I did good work. So I got a lot of clients. And not everybody can do that. Not everybody is going to be able to have, the same success as everybody else. But if you try, if you put yourself in a situation where you have the education and you have the tools needed to go be successful, then you're going to be successful. It's just that simple. Make the right decision. You get yourself grounded and a place where you're stable. Then follow your dream. Don't follow your dream being broke. That's not smart. It's not intelligent. Don't follow your dream with no support. That's not smart. It's not intelligent. Become stable first, then follow your dream. And, if you don't, then you can't complain about, where you end up at. So some people feel like that you are abandoning people in the black community when you become successful and you leave. some people, there's levels of success. The people who leave and they get a good job and they can afford to move to a better place. I mean, that's not abandoning the black community. That's like, I got a better place to go. I can't afford to, really give back. I got to afford, this new lifestyle. But then you have people who become like, celebrities, multimillionaires, rich people. Do they have an obligation to give back to where they come from? And you can't really force a person to give back anything. You can't force a person to give money to the community they come from because you don't know the experience they had in that community. Sometimes people might have had a bad experience in the community they come from. They don't want to go back. Sometimes people, they have a disconnect with that community. They didn't like it in the first place, or they felt like, it's not worth coming back and putting any money into it because it's so far gone. So you don't know the circumstances of a lot of communities that people come from, or the situation that a person had or lived in some community. So we can't always say that, everybody has to give back because they made it or they got this kind of money. Now, if they are putting money in places that do benefit black people in other places, then there you go. They don't got to necessarily give back to their community, but if they give back to the black community somewhere else, that's fine. And, you can't really expect all black people to do it, even though it might be a moral thing where morally they should be like, really look out for where they come from. And let me tell you some of the things that I have done, and I'm responsible for getting so many people's pardons and helping people get their record expunged. That's one of the things I was doing when I first finished law school. One of the things I helped a lot of people out with was the whole process and getting a pardon, getting your whole complete record clean after 5 years, 7 years in certain cases, and helping people get their life back and get good jobs. Because there's some people out there who actually committed crimes because of, the situation it was in. Yeah, I sold drugs. I had to do this. So now I got caught up in something. I spent some time in prison, but then, I understood once I went to prison the way the world works, how things is. So, now that I'm out, I want to get my life back together. I help a lot of people go to college and get money for school. I know about that whole process, well, at least in Philadelphia, how it works as far as getting the, the grant money and getting the money for school, the whole FAFSA and all that, the Pell Grants and everything like that. So that was another thing I helped a lot of people out with, because I was going around, I was talking to people and telling people like, hey, you need to go to school, the government to pay for it. It's your best bet at this point, because what you have is you have some people who come out and they come out of prison and they down, they feel defeated, they feel like their life is over and they can't do anything. But in a lot of cases, if you can keep your nose clean, for 5 years, get a job, volunteer, do community service, go back to school, finish your, diploma or get a degree. And then when that time comes and you go through the whole process for a pardon, they actually assign you a parole officer who comes out and looks at your life and monitors the things that you've been doing since, you was set free. If you don't have any new cases and you've been doing good in the community and everything is all good, you done kept a stable job, you got a house or what have you, then yeah, they submit everything to the governor, and it's possible. I've had a lot of success and people getting full pardons and having their records wiped clean and clean slate. Then, since they went to college and got that degree, it's not holding them back from getting, a really good job. As I said, I grew up in, the hood. I grew up in the black neighborhood. I grew up poor. I sold drugs for a little while. I did all that. I understand about that lifestyle and everything that entails. So when people see me now, people who find me on Facebook and stuff like that and see what I'm doing. They look through my pictures and see what I have done and everything I've accomplished. Most people that was in my neighborhood knew I was going off to the military, but a lot of them, I haven't seen a lot of them since then because they was in that life. It was about that lifestyle. They were selling drugs or what have you. But when they see me now and see the success and see what I'm doing, they always ask for advice. A lot of them reach out and I help them the best way I can. I try to steer them in the right direction. That's really all I can do is tell them, what's the best course they should take. And I get a lot of people ask me questions, business questions about things they should do. And, it's funny. It's weird when you grow up looking at a person as, being major or somebody who you thought was like, ghetto superstar. And then now you see them working in Walmart. Now you see them, working at Burger King and stuff like that. It's like, damn. And it lets you know that you made the right decisions in life. But at the same time, you still want to help those cats, to do something better with their life. And I tell a lot of people, even though you might not be down with it, it may not seem like a step back or you might not understand why, you should further your education because that at least gives you a chance. It gives you a shot at getting a career, a really high paying job, at least if you have that degree. A lot of people tell you, there was people who got degrees who don't have a job or who not doing so well. Well, at least they got a shot with that degree. It might be a case of you moving, going to another place to where where your degree is needed. And you might just got to relocate and boom, you got a way better job. That's happening a lot. And there's a lot of people moving out of the country too, as well, with these engineering degrees and stuff like that, getting excellent, really high paying jobs, overseas. But I know having that degree in this society, not just in America, but abroad as well, is important if you want to really be successful in, the way our civilization is set up. Everywhere. So I tell a lot of people, hey, the government is going to give you the money. Yeah, you're going to be in debt, but at least you'll have the opportunity to get the degree that you need to become successful later on. And I know that's like, being a part of the system and, going through all that process in school is like a waste of time to some people, but I'm keeping it 100% real with you. That's your best shot. It's at least having that degree. So yeah, there's many ways that you can give back. There's many things that you can do. My whole thing, as long as you're trying to help somebody, if somebody come to you that need help and you can help them, help them out. But as far as these athletes and celebrities who leave the hood and make millions, not coming back and not really giving back or doing something huge economically to benefit the black community as a whole or largely, again, you got to remember, most of these dudes, as I always say, is sellouts. They're selling you out. The music is destroying the community. They playing a part of it. A lot of them are told not to do anything to give back to the black community. If you want to help black people, go to Africa. Athletes are told, in those meetings about finances, don't start giving money to these people, to your own family sometimes. They're going to be leeches. You work hard for your money and you grind it and you made it. They got to do the same thing. People change when you give them money. They're going to change. It's a lot of talk that these athletes and these entertainers hear and go through as far as not giving back. I'm talking about on a large scale because, again, you can have these major celebrities, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Oprah, P. Diddy, Kanye, Master P, Baby, Jermaine Dupri. I'm talking about ones with crazy money. They could come together. They could create a foundation that's basically going to help the economic situation in the black community. They could do that easy. And, they choose not to because they are a part of the problem. They are in a situation where they're not willing to jeopardize what they have to help you. So you got to figure your own way out. People got to stop acting like babies and just stop acting like the victim so much and fight back. Do something that's going to really help you. As I said, no president is going to determine your success. It's just that simple. It hasn't determined mine and many other people. You got to do that on your own. Go out there. You know what's out there. You know what you need to do. Do it. If you don't know what you need to do, then research it and figure it out. Then go do it. We can't keep sitting back and blaming, everything else. You gotta, it's too much now. It's too many loopholes now. There's too many ways to get out of this stuff now, versus 1960s, 70s, or what have you. That now with the understanding that this shit is rigged. Because now a lot of black people got caught up thinking that, you know what, this ain't fair. They can't do this to me. So I'm going to be all right here. Or, well, they're not going to do this. Or they're not prejudiced. They're not racist. They're not going to do anything to hold me back from getting this promotion. Or, nothing is not going to happen so I don't get this money for this house or what have you. Now that you got this understanding that, yeah, shit is rigged and I need to act accordingly, then you need to act accordingly. You need to really start looking at life on that level and teaching your kids that, hey, there's some good people out there, but not everybody is good. So you got to work extra hard. It may not be fair. It's just the way it is. And there's some people out there who are taking steps to try to fix things and try to make things better for us. But in the meantime, we need to prepare and act like there's nobody helping us out and we're on our own. And we need to do whatever we need to do to become successful and to better our future and our children's future. Okay, so last thing, bottom line. Should you move out of the black community? Yes, you should. And here's why. Well, you already know why. Everything we just went through in this video is why. You're not supposed to really be there in the first place. It's a place that is designed to keep you down and to hold you back. It's just that simple. You can sit here and say, well, you need to just educate the people. How much preaching do we got to do? How long do we have to talk to grown ass men and women and tell them what's wrong when they already know what's wrong? You know what they're doing is wrong. There's only but so much you can say to a person to wake them up. People know what the hell they're doing. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know it's holding them back. You only hurt yourself when you procrastinate. It's just that simple. So if you understand and you know you're not doing what you're supposed to do to get ahead in life, then don't complain. How you going to complain and start blaming shit when it's you? Look in the mirror. This is the problem. People don't want to accept responsibility for their life. So they want to turn to religion and turn to the devil and say it's Satan or it's demons, holding me back. Understand it's a system in place to keep you back, but there's ways around that system and you got to act accordingly in order to be successful. That's the thing. So since you live in a place where people don't want to understand this, where people don't want to do what's necessary to get ahead, you need to get away from these people and separate yourself from any kind of negativity that's going to hold you back. It's the only way you're going to be successful. It's just that simple. You need to understand about negative energy. This is why I did the whole video on energy. Whether you believe it or not, negative energy breeds negative results. It's just that simple. If you surround yourself in negativity, it's going to always be negative. Notice when you get around positive people, things get better. Why do rich people always seem to win in Vegas? I don't know if you go to Vegas like that many people, but it seems like when you go there, the rich people win. Rich people who got money, who don't need it, win because it's the energy they put out to where they know I could put this money out. It's no worry. I'm not stressing about hitting this number. I'm not stressing about losing this game. So they're putting out this energy and it translates into wins, whether you believe it or not. It's a mindset. You put stuff out to the universe. It comes back to you. This is the truth. I'm trying to tell you, whether you believe in it or not. So if you're going to surround yourself with negativity, if you're going to surround yourself with the odds, the chance of being shot in the head walking down the street, how do you expect to get ahead? Now, of course, I understand not everybody can just up and leave the hood. Not everybody can just, go. Not everybody has the means to even step foot on the road to success. It's, a lot of forests and mountains and things you got to climb to even get to the road to success. But it's a road, it exists. So you have to act accordingly. You got to put together a plan. When people used to say this shit to me, I used to be like, man, shut up. When people used to say, write down your goals, I remember younger, every time we used to hear it in school, I was like, come on, well, that shit don't work. I bullshit you not. Write down your goals. Stick to them. That's real talk. If you write down what you want to do, if you actually sit down and come up with a plan and everything you need to accomplish to get to this plan. I'm talking about be realistic. Save your money. Be realistic. Sacrifice. What's going to stop you? Only you. Only you. It's not impossible. If you can write it down, it's a possibility. Write it down. Complete the steps. Do what you need to do. Get there. They can't nobody say shit. You could be a success story. You could be talking to people, telling them, hey, I made it. And it's so many success stories out there that's not being heard of African Americans who are successful, who live in those neighborhoods I talked about, who made it. You can call them sellouts if you want. They made it. They understood what's going on, and that, things are stacked against them. So when the odds are stacked against you, you got to come out, swinging hard. And that's what we got to do. We got to wake up. I mean, let's keep it real. Hip hop ain't going nowhere. The whole hip hop culture is going to stay. It's destroying the black community. But you got people who's successful who still listen to hip hop, who still understand the culture, but they didn't let the culture influence them in a negative way to where it's determining their reality. But in the black community, you got so many people who's driven by this negative culture, and they letting it affect their life and their actions, their behavior. So the difference is you. It's just that simple. Either you're going to continue to do what you're doing that is holding you back, not allowing you to be successful, or you're going to stop bullshitting. Stop making excuses. You're going to write down your goals, and you're going to act accordingly. You're going to take the steps. You're going to do what you need to do to get to that point. And no laws are going to be passed to help you out. Nobody's going to give you a handout. You need to think like that and just do what you need to do, because, so many people have been in that position to where it seemed like, listen, I'm going to tell you straight up, keeping it real. I don't know how the hell I got here sometimes. Sometimes I think back at some of the problems I was facing growing up, even after the Navy, just things that I ran into where I was like, how the hell did I get out of that? How did I make it through that? Problems, issues. But I just made a plan. Okay, well, this is what I need to do. I'm not asking nobody for no money. I'm not doing this. I'm not going back. I'm not hustling. I'm going to have to work here. I'm going to have to work here. And I got to do what I got to do. And boom. Success. It happens. I'm not super rich, but I'm good. I don't have to really worry about too much. And it's tough for people to believe that they can do this as well when you are already in a position that seems so, hopeless. And this is why a lot of people turn to the lottery, and why they turn to Jesus Christ, hoping for a miracle, because they think that it's only a miracle is going to take them out of the situation that they're in. Hitting the lottery is going to take them out of the situation that they are in. So I know it seems like impossible to some people, but you got to have that hope. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to put out that positive energy and put it out there, and just know you're going to get it back. You're going to do it. You're going to accomplish it. Make the steps realistic. Write down your goals, make them realistic, and stick to them. And that's your best bet. Now, if you complete these steps and you live in a black community that's okay, it's not as bad as other places, and it makes sense for you to stay there because most of your friends and family is there, then stay. Then you don't have to leave that community. It's still a black community. It's not as bad as some other places. You could stay there. It might be a little bit cheaper. It might be better for you. Stay there. Help it out. Do what you can, because those communities that's not so bad, they only need a couple more things to be put in place to make them, better, or to stay good, and that requires people just helping out the community more and coming together more. And you don't have to necessarily abandon those black neighborhoods. Just do what you can to help them out. It's some of them that just can't be saved. What the ones that I'm talking about, the ones that's just done. The mindset of the people in there is just gone, and it's full of niggas doing nigga shit. And it's like, what the hell? I can't get through to these people because me trying to talk sense to them is corny. They whole mindset of it is, man, get that shit out of here. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. It's corny. It's like, that's where they mind at. That's the way they perceiving the information you putting out. So, man, you can go, if I just walk into a crowd of dudes on the corner sitting there and I just say, yo, what y'all doing is wrong, bro. What's going on. Y'all need to really look at what's going on with the cops killing everybody and everything like that. Y'all need to stop, put down the guns, put down the drugs, go to school, do something better with your life. What do you think gonna happen? Maybe, they might be feeling that, but some people they're gonna say to you exactly how they feel. Either get the fuck out of here or I gotta do what I gotta do. Matter of fact, what you got in your pockets? It's not funny, but I'm serious. We've talked so much. We've tried. So many people have come out and tried to help the black community and try to do what they can talking, preaching, just stating the facts. It has not helped. People know right from wrong. And all you can do is give them information to say, hey, I'm successful by doing this and I made it out the hood. You can do the same thing. And either they take that advice and do good, or they're going to continue doing what they're doing. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you and your family, especially if you got kids. You need to raise your kids in a better environment. Your kids need to be around people who are successful. They need to see that black people can be successful. You ain't got to move out to no white suburb or what have you. You can move to a black suburb because they do exist. You can move to wherever. It don't matter. Like, just move somewhere where your kids can grow up and see success, where they don't have to grow up and see black people destroying themselves and each other. That's my main thing. Think about your kids. Think about their mindset and their future, their education. So on that note, I say, yeah, definitely the black neighborhood. Some of them can be saved. Some absolutely cannot be saved. Some people can be saved. Some people absolutely cannot be saved. They don't want to be saved. They don't want to listen. And no matter what you say to them or try to, instill in them, they set in their ways and they believe what they believe because they have a mindset that's driven by the culture. So all you can do is, wish them luck and hopefully they wake up. Sometimes it takes people going through traumatic experiences to wake up. I seen some females who was like out there in the streets, females who I grew up with, who I knew was whores and hoes, and they end up having kids. And then the kids basically change their life. They get their shit together. They end up getting a good job. And I see them doing good later because they didn't have kids. Everything changes once you have kids. It's like you can't be selfish too much anymore. You have to really take care of this life. And it forces people to really grow up when they have kids. And for those people who want good stuff for their kids, they don't want to rely on the system of welfare. Some people just want to say, you know what? I want my daughter to see me doing good, so I got to do good. And they finish school or they get a really good job, and they do good. And then there's some people who say, well, damn, because I got these kids and, deadbeat dad ain't paying child support, I got to be on welfare. And that's the excuse that some people stick with. Oh, well, I can't do nothing because I got these kids. It's really up to people to decide the direction they need to go in life. You know what you want to do. You know what you want to accomplish. If you think that, okay, me working this job, this 9 to 5 is going to benefit me in the future, then, you're going to have a horrible future. As I said before, your goal should be to work, do what you got to do, but to eventually open your own company or at least have a job or a position where you can make enough money to live comfortably and you can take care of your family. You're not going to find that in a neighborhood full of people who don't give a damn about nothing about themselves. Neighborhood where, people are killing each other and it's horrible. You're not going to find it there. You can talk all the coon, tough Tony, whatever talk you want to talk. You can act like the black community is the greatest thing in the world. Not all black communities messed up. Some of them, as I said, it's good. But I'm talking about the ghetto, the hood. You know what I'm talking about. You can act like it's the best place. It's fun and stuff like that. But we know it's not. We know what goes on there. We know it's not what we want for ourselves and our children. And you should definitely, if you have a family, if you want better for your life, better for yourself, a successful future, you should definitely do what you can to get out of there. And yeah, if you can give back, help out, or what have you. But to me, addressing this whole topic, to me, it's a no-brainer that you don't want to be there. You shouldn't be there. And the whole place was set up for you to fail. So why would you stay in there? Why would you repair a cage? because that's what's going on. If they put you in a cage and it's breaking down and it's getting brittle and it's, it's in disrepair, and why try to repair that thing? Why try to fix it? It's a cage. Get out of it. So now I want to thank you guys for, taking the time to watch. And, this is the topic that, I've been asked about this plenty of times, and I always give the same answer because, I know where I come from. I know where I've been. If I go back to my neighborhood where I grew up right now, it's the same. It's a mess. The house I grew up in, it's all ran down. Some of the houses next door is gone. Still niggas out there hustling. I don't know most of the people now. New people out there. The stores that was there, a lot of them gone. It looks horrible, ran down, and that's what happens in a lot of cases. The people, when you do become successful and you leave and you do come back, you don't recognize the people that's there. A lot of people moved out. Some people got killed. Some people it's locked up, and you don't really know the people that's there now. And it's like, well, I don't really want to give my money to these people. That's how some people legitimately feel. It's not necessarily that they don't want to give back. It's that they don't know how, or they don't know exactly what to do. And as I said, the problem is bigger than just throwing money at the black community. It's psychological, and it's stuff that we really need to really pay attention to. But I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch, and see you guys next video. Thanks for watching.